You're watching HuffPost Live. I'm Caitlin Becker. American Horror Story, The Walking Dead, Hannibal, Criminal Minds. Terrifying television has pretty much taken over. It's not only the quantities of shows that seems to be on the rise, but the sheer horror on the screen.
The landscape for entertainment is so crowded that people really need to stand out. So it's funny because I was just watching some clips the other day from Kolchak, the Night Stalker, and from the X-Files, and there's always been horrible elements or horror elements on TV, but I think now the game has changed and the ante has been upped so many times that for Hannibal, for The Walking Dead, they have to get more and more creative. American Horror Story just throws these things at you kind of almost at random, and I love that show, but they're very disturbing on very many occasions. So I think that there's a sense that shows need to stand out. They need to do something really eye-catching, because if they don't have something they can put in the promos or can get people's attention with on the show, they're sunk. They won't get noticed at all. Dexter, I think, is a great example. I remember writing about Dexter in the early seasons of that show, and people were just, so I would get letters and emails. People were outraged. How dare they depict a serial killer? Look at how far the goalposts have moved. That's now so common that people don't even comment on it. People don't really comment on the violence on The Walking Dead. It's just, oh, that was cool. I think that as a culture, we've moved our own goalposts, and things that 10 or 8 or 7 years ago would have received a lot of comment and would have been considered daring or maybe beyond the pale are now the Walking Dead is without question the #1 show on television, and this is mainstream entertainment. So it's just weird to me that like something like that crazy eyeball scene, that's like what the family sits down to and watches on Sunday night. But I guess that's what we want.
My concern is mostly with younger viewers, and they can usually make the distinction between the more fantasy-driven versus reality-driven material. But not everybody. And this culture is saturated in violence. I mean, it's just, we're a world leader, for God's sakes. So frankly, I see very little good in what we're talking about here. That is television horror. TVs are in everybody's life. And so the horror has been given extent. It's literally everywhere in the culture, and it's not helping us in the long run, in my view.
Last night, I gave my son the Predator DVD. I said, it's time for you to watch this. He's just now being a teenager, and I'm introducing my daughter to zombies. I think horror is so healthy for kids to watch. I think what's unhealthy are the commercials that come on between the horrors. During the show on Walking Dead, there will be a commercial for lotion, and it'll try to be selling my daughter on some image of women that I don't agree with. And I think that's where the horror is. The horror is not in the gore. The gore is just a trigger to launch us into a horror space where everything is more intense, I think.